Fox 61 News at 10 starts now.
Right now at 10, the Hartford community coming together once again for yet another deadly shooting in the capital city. Family and friends of a woman killed at a party remembering her memory.
And a new variant of the Omicron virus is taking over as the dominant strain in the U.S. More tonight on why health officials say this variant will be tougher to fight than previous ones.
A troubling trend in one Connecticut county, how one task force is taking on a spike in overdoses that's having a major impact in their communities. But we start here, a community in mourning the loss of a young woman killed in a Hartford shooting, the 22nd homicide of the year in the capital city. Thanks for joining us here on the news at 10. I'm Ben Goldman.
And I'm Sarah Sanchez. Well, tonight, family and friends come together for a prayer vigil held in her honor. Fox 61's Alicia Machado was there and joins us live in Hartford with the family's message. Alicia.
Yeah, these past few days have been extremely difficult for the family of 22-year-old Jayla Heaven, who her cousin says was a light to all who knew her. The family wants answers, and they're asking anyone in the community who knows something about what happened to come forward.
It was a senseless, tragic thing that happened, and we just asking that whoever knows something come forward, because if it was your child, that's what you would want, because she had a whole life ahead of her.
A life taken too soon. 22-year-old Jayla Heaven killed in a shooting at a house party on Schultes Place in Hartford early Monday morning, according to Hartford police. Family and friends gathering together Thursday night on the street where it all happened to remember the young woman.
She was a sparkle, she was a light. Jayla could cook. She did it all. I mean, there was nothing Jayla couldn't do. So right now, somebody cut the life short of somebody who could have been anything she wanted to be.
Police say Heaven and a man in his 20s who was also shot were caught in the crossfire of a fight and were not the intended targets. That man is expected to be okay. Local group Mothers United Against Violence held a prayer vigil in Heaven's honor Thursday night. Family and friends lighting a candle as they mourn her loss. They're hoping someone will speak up about what happened. The shooter still on the loose.
We just want to know who the person is, bring him to justice, because at the end of the day, it's my baby sister.
We would just like what anybody would like, justice for her.
Now, we reached out to Hartford Police for an update on the case tonight. They tell us no suspect information is available at this time and no one has been taken into custody. This investigation still ongoing. If you know anything about what happened, contact Hartford Police. We're live in Hartford tonight. Alicia Machado, Fox 61 News.
All right. Thank you, Alicia. Heartbreaking. I hope that family finds peace. I hope they find justice. Thank you. Well, let's turn now to a look at the forecast. Yes, we have made it officially to the weekend. We're looking at our Friday and what we can expect heading forward.
Things look pretty good. Chief Meteorologist Rachel Frank joining us with the first check of your forecast. Hi, Rachel.
Yeah, it's pretty much smooth sailing. If you checked in with us earlier this week, we were feeling pessimistic about Friday with off and on showers, but the forecast has trended a lot drier. While there is a chance for a shower late day, it'll be really isolated in nature and most of the state stays dry. Right now, we're looking at temperatures in the 60s to right around 70 degrees. The humidity's ticking up just ever so slightly. We were in this comfy category a little bit earlier. Now it's a little bit humid, and that's how it will stay as we head into the day tomorrow. There could be some areas of patchy fog as we head towards daybreak, although I'm not thinking that that'll be a widespread issue for the commute tomorrow. Temperatures will drop back into the 60s as we head towards daybreak. So it's a cloudy start to the day tomorrow. Again, maybe some fog in spots. Temperatures beginning around 70 at 8 a.m. Heading towards lunchtime, it's a warmer day tomorrow. We're close to 80 degrees at noon, and we'll see high temperatures climb into the low to mid 80s with a mix of sun and clouds. Now later in the day, let's say between around 3 and 6 p.m., there is that chance for an isolated spot shower. I wouldn't change your plans because of this. Again, it'll be really isolated in nature, and then it's smooth sailing heading into this weekend. We'll break down your full forecast coming up.
All right, thank you, Rachel. And new at 10, a 17-year-old boy is dead after he was shot in New Haven. Police say John Tubak was shot on Poplar Street between Pine and Chatham Street Sunday night. Tubak ended up dying in the hospital today. New Haven Public Schools say John just graduated from high school this spring.
The New Haven police chief and the mayor have announced some policy changes as a result of what happened to Randy Cox, who was paralyzed while in the custody of police on June 19th. Cox's life changed moments after he was loaded into the back of a police van, which was stopped abruptly by Officer Oscar Diaz to avoid the crash. And because there were no seatbelts in that van, Cox slid headfirst into the back wall and paralyzed him. Moving forward, all prisoners must be wearing seatbelts in either police vans or cruisers. And officers are now required to check on the medical conditions of prisoners before leaving the site of the arrest and upon the arrival of a detention center. Police Chief Carl Jacobson and Mayor Justin Elicker visited Cox in the hospital Wednesday.
The first thing he said to me is he struggled to say, "I can't talk." The family said that that Daddy was even a progress.
And I'm never going to forget meeting him and him attempting to talk. And it was a very emotional thing. We're committed to making sure this never happens again.
All officers will be trained on all the policy changes over the next month, and when they'll be tested on their knowledge, Friday at 5 p.m., protesters will begin the march to the police station in support of Cox, and the mayor and police chief say they'll join the group when they arrive at that police department.
Turning to COVID-19 here in Connecticut, Governor Ned Lamont releases the numbers for the past week. The positivity rate is jumping back up to double digits. Standing at 10.64%, there are currently 264 people in the hospital with the virus, while 10 people have died in the past week.
Well, with numbers increasing again, a new Omicron COVID variant is concerning health experts.
Yeah, health experts say the BA.5 variant is as contagious as the previous Omicron strain. Fox 61's DeAndrea Turner joins us live in studio with more. DeAndrea.
Well, the doctor says that they are taking this variant very seriously. The BA.5 Omicron subvariant is spreading quickly across the country, becoming the dominant variant. It now makes up more than 53% of all new infections, and experts say it's more contagious. It's also harder for the immune system to detect and fight it. Earlier today on Fox 61 News at 4, we asked Professor Caroline Zeiss with Yale School of Medicine about the BA.5 variant and how concerned we should be.
What we're seeing is that the variants are becoming more and more transmissible. And in a sense, that exposes all of us again and again to the virus, and it builds up immunity. If you are protected by vaccination, and if you don't have predisposing conditions that could predispose you to severe illness, you may just end up with a relatively mild disease. And we see that happening with a lot of the people around us.
And Professor Zeiss also said the endemic stage of COVID could be 2 years away. This is according to their new Yale study. She also says they studied a mild virus similar to COVID that impact rats and how they use this model to create a timeline. And things like the common cold and the flu are endemic, but she also says unlike the cold, COVID-19 still requires extra caution. In the studio, DeAndrea Turner, Fox 61 News.
Yeah, I know that we're seeing those cases tick up here in the state and across the U.S. I don't know about you, but I've been noticing more people are getting sick.
Yes.
One of the things Professor Zeiss said at 4 o'clock was that one of the good things is that people who are getting this new subvariant are not experiencing those serious symptoms that we saw back in the early stages of this pandemic.
Yeah, or the Delta variant, that sort of thing. All right.
Definitely. And the CDC also says with this new variant that people should probably be wearing masks indoors.
Okay. All right.
DeAndrea,
Thank you,
you.
DeAndrea.
All right, want to move along tonight to new developments in the Nathan Carman case. An attorney for the man accused of killing his mother at sea is now asking a federal judge to release him from jail while he awaits his trial. Nathan Carman's lawyer says that he's not a flight risk or a danger to the community. Carman is willing to surrender his passport, submit to electronic monitoring, and turn over all the money he has. Carman's accused of killing his mother while on a fishing trip in 2016 as part of a plot to inherit millions of dollars. He pleaded not guilty back in May.
Well, new at 10, Litchfield County is experiencing a surge in overdoses. In the span of 1 week, 12 people have overdosed, 2 of them fatal.
Fox 61's Gabby Molina joining us live in studio tonight with more on how the spike is being addressed. Gabby.
And Sarah, those overdoses have triggered what's called a spike alert, which means that there have been more than 3 overdoses in a span of 24 hours. It also means that the Litchfield County Opiate Task Force immediately mobilizes to try to prevent any more from happening. Litchfield County currently seeing a spike in overdoses.
Can last a week, a couple of days, 2 weeks. It's typically something having to do with the supply of substances or narcotics that come into the area.
From June 28th to July 5th, there were a dozen overdoses reported, 2 of them fatal. When this happens, the Litchfield County Opiate Task Force responds, reaching the community through messaging to make them aware of the spike, but also immediately going to them with help.
We mobilized every resource available to be able to make sure that people knew that supports were out there and that they had options available to them.
That includes their mobile van, which makes stops in different towns, offering things like Narcan, fentanyl test strips, or help with finding treatment.
We have people to be able to respond to that area and offer supports, harm reduction resources, treatment resources.
And sometimes those people know firsthand how important having those resources can be. Tracy Eberg is an emergency overdose responder, a place she's been able to get to after overcoming addiction and losing her own loved ones to overdoses.
I know that dark, lonely place that they're in, that I was in. I sort of want to be that beacon of light at the end of a long, dark tunnel.
The opioid epidemic reaching all corners of the state and the country. In 2021, more than 108,000 people died of drug overdoses, according to the CDC, the most on record.
The opiate epidemic was a public health crisis. Prior to COVID, it was the biggest thing hit this country in decades.
But for people like Dante Gorham, who's 17 years sober and now works helping others, the most important thing for people to know is that recovery is possible.
I was a puzzle when people put me back together. They didn't put me back together by forcing pieces in. They put me back together by working with me as a team, showing me that I'm not alone.
And for more information on the help that is available to people, head to our website, fox61.com. In the studio, Gabby Molina, Fox 61 News.